Just name me any scholars
yes.
just name me any New Testament historians, okay? And as you know, in New Testament historians, it's largely critical. Many non-Christians, many non-believers, many atheists are in that discipline. Just name me a single New Testament scholar who doubts the death of Jesus.
Notice that I have acknowledged previously that all historians, you can include New Testament scholars, except for Muslims, would agree that Jesus died on the cross.
But notice what Shabir said in his question just before this. He said, I start with the Quran and then ask what it allows. You see, this is not the way a historian works, where you look at the sources and follow the evidence where it leads. He starts with the Quran and then says, what can I wiggle around enough in here to allow me to remain a Muslim and yet affirm what I can? And he says, well, I'll affirm that Jesus was crucified but not killed. And then you get into this sort of Chrislam sort of thing, as I suggested. I think it's much better to follow the evidence where it leads, and I think where it leads is to the resurrection of Jesus.
Question is, are there any historical documents that support the Quran saying that Jesus was not crucified or killed?
First, I've tried to say that we have to think about what specific interpretation we have of the Quran here, and a wide variety of interpretations are possible. One interpretation that I did advance here, especially by following the probings of Dr. Craig, is that Jesus was assumed into heaven. Now, he could have been assumed in that case either alive or dead. Is there any kind of independent attestation? When we look at the Gospels, which are the only things we have commenting on Jesus now, sometimes we get locked into a box of thinking. Like we have these Gospels, we're staring at them and we're saying, if not this, then what? So why do we have to have an answer?
Dr. Craig.
The short answer to your question is no. There aren't any corroborating sources for the Quran's remarkable claim that Jesus was neither crucified nor killed. All of the New Testament material says that he was crucified and executed. Josephus, the Jewish historian, Tacitus, the Roman historian, says this. The Jewish sources in the Talmud say this. There is nothing to suggest that Jesus somehow survived death or wasn't crucified. This was written by a man living in Saudi Arabia 600 years after the event with no independent source of information about Jesus of Nazareth. And that's why no historian turns to the Quran as a primary source for the life of Jesus. It's just too late and too derivative to be regarded as a credible source of information for the life of Jesus of Nazareth.